Hello, I'm Dr. Norman Wood, and welcome to No BS with Dr. Wood. I'm a native West Virginian. I am from Moundsville, and I have been extremely blessed to have been able to do many things in my life. And those real-world experiences have given me what I think is a unique perspective of our lives here in West Virginia and the United States. And hopefully, I bring some of that knowledge to this podcast to share with all of you. I am outspoken, and I have no problem calling a spade, and nothing gets my blood boiling faster than seeing someone being taken advantage of. So we are going to discuss many issues that not only affect our state, but the nation. And most of these issues are controversial, to say the least. Here in West Virginia, there are many issues that need serious consideration, and I believe some of our most important issues, like our children's education, good drinking water, drug addiction, and mental illness, have not been properly addressed by our elected officials. And until we address these vital issues and others for West Virginia, we are going to continue to be behind with our economic development. So there is only so much money, and we must demand that our elected officials stop wasting millions of our taxpayer dollars on issues that do not directly help us. We must stop all of the scammers that are stealing our money and our resources. And we must demand good schools for our children, because that's where it all starts. And we must be willing to make these changes happen, even if we have to fight for them. So buckle up, boys and girls. I'm not shy. And we're going to ruffle some feathers, and we may just pick some of those birds bare. But we have lots of time to dig into those issues in the future podcast. And today, in my very first No BS podcast, I want to talk about why we should all be proud to be West Virginians. And we have a lot to be proud of. So listen up, ladies and gentlemen. This is the first episode of No BS with Dr. Wood. Welcome back to No BS with Dr. Wood. I know many of you have not had the opportunities that I have had to live all across this country. I have lived in Kirksville, Missouri, Houston, Texas, Napa, California, Coos Bay, Oregon, and Seattle, Washington. I have been to China, and I have been to other places around this world. And there were times in my life when I didn't think I would ever return to West Virginia. But those thoughts always melted away. And I have learned this: the farther you are from West Virginia, the more you want to get back home. So I want you to know how truly blessed we all are to live here in West Virginia. West Virginia is not only beautiful, but it is much more than that. It's our culture, it's our heritage, it's our people. In 1671, I believe one of my distant relatives, Colonel Abraham Wood, commissioned an expedition that discovered an amazingly wild and beautiful river running through what was then the mountains of the colony of Virginia. And for many years that river bore the colonel's name as Wood's River. Not until the mid-1700s, almost 100 years later, about the same time Mary Draper Ingalls crossed it, did that river start being called by its official name, the New River. Yes, where the gorge is. And in the late 1700s and early 1800s, my great-grandfather times 6, James A. Wood, settled this northern part of what was to become West Virginia. The family farm where I now live has been in my family for as long as Europeans have walked these mountains and valleys. And my story is not unique. Many of you share the same history and heritage of West Virginia. Our ancestors came into this dangerous wilderness. They cleared the forest, built log homes, made gardens, had children, and raised families. And they did this under some of the most brutal conditions few of us could ever imagine. It wasn't easy. It was never easy. And over half of the children died before the age of 15. How sad is that? That is why if you go into the old grown-up family cemeteries, there will be these little gravestones all over the place. I can't imagine the grief that was felt by those mothers and fathers time and time again. Life was cruel, but they fought through everything, weather, starvation, injuries, disease, and they fought my other ancestors, the Cherokee, and other Native Americans who also lived here. Many of the early settlers thought it was just too much, and they gave up and went back to the more civilized areas along the East Coast. But not our ancestors. They stayed. They were tough. They lived and died here. So we are all here today because those people, those strong men and women, never gave up. And that is the blood that runs through all of our veins. West Virginians don't quit. We don't cry when the going gets rough. We roll up our sleeves and we get our hands dirty. We do the job. We do whatever it takes. We will sit in a tree stand during freezing weather for hours each day for weeks on end to kill a deer with a bow. And I have done that 1,000 times. That is the blood of our ancestors that gives us that fortitude and resolve. From the coal fields to the timber, from the factories to the farms, no matter what it is, we get it done. And we don't take crap from other people. When I was a special agent in San Francisco and I would walk down the hall at 1700 Montgomery Street, one particular special agent, Alio Bergnera, who grew up in this city, grew up in San Francisco, he was a city boy, but he would sometimes yell, "Hey hillbilly, you wearing shoes today?" I would normally chuckle, flip him the bird and just keep going. I was busy and it was a friendly jab, so I didn't think anything of it. But one day, it just hit me wrong. So I stopped, looked into his office and said, "Yeah, but I can kick your butt with or without shoes. What would you like?" And I didn't say but. He never asked that question again. And we actually ended up being good friends. And while in San Francisco in 1988, I made the largest drug seizure in history. It was 56 tons of narcotics. There's an old video on youtube.com if you search Special Agent Norman Wood. Obviously, there is a big story behind that case, and we can get into that at some other time. But on many occasions after that, I was asked by TV crews and newspaper reporters what my background was. And I always told them I was a former West Virginia state trooper. And every single time I said that, it was met with awe. That is the reputation the West Virginia State Police has across this country, and I never knew that until I lived on the West Coast. And yes, the state police had some bad press a couple years ago, and that was because of a failure of leadership. But I believe that problem has been rectified by the department as it should be. When you get a bad apple, you throw them the hell out. So I can say, without any doubt, as the outstanding cadet of the 31st Cadet Class, the West Virginia State Police is one of the finest state police organizations in the nation, and that is something we can all be proud of. These are West Virginia boys and girls that wear that green uniform, or any of the uniforms for that matter. And I have said this 1,000 times. If I had not grown up in the woods and along the streams in West Virginia, and if I had not been a West Virginia State Trooper before I was recruited and sent to San Francisco, I would never have been able to do all that I did on the West Coast. And that's the God's truth. And on one of these podcasts, I will talk about how I was recruited and after I left the state police and of the cases that I have written about in my books that are all on Amazon. And they are currently working on a TV series about my undercover life while in the government. That's kind of cool. So we'll just see how that plays out. But today, let's talk about some truly remarkable West Virginians. And I don't have time to list all of them, but there are dozens and dozens of very notable men and women from West Virginia that have truly made remarkable contributions, not only to this state, but to our nation. So let's get started and honor these amazing West Virginians. And the first on the alphabetical list is Pearl S. Buck, author, The Good Earth. She's from Hillsboro. John Corbett, actor, Northern Exposure. I love that series. And that series was actually filmed in Roslyn, Washington, about 2 miles from the Cleella Medical Center that I ran while I was in Washington. And I have even eaten in the brick bar that they showed on Northern Exposure just about every episode. And John was from Wheeling. Joyce DeWitt, actress, Three's Company, from Wheeling. Conchata Farrell, actress, 2.5 Men, Loudondale. Devil Anse Hatfield. We have to mention this great man. He was the patriarch of the Hatfield family in Logan. Lou Holtz, football coach, Notre Dame, a very good man. He was from Follinsby. Steve Harvey, TV celebrity. Family Feud, he's from Welsh. Homer Hickam, NASA engineer. They made the movie October Sky about Homer and his buddies, and he was from Coalwood. Chuck Howley, NFL Dallas Cowboys, Wheeling. Anna Jarvis, founder of Mother's Day. How cool is that? She is from Webster. Katherine Johnson, what an amazing lady. She was a NASA mathematician, and they made the movie about her called Hidden Figures. She was from White Sulphur Springs. Don Knotts, actor, The Andy Griffith Show. He was a funny guy. He was from Morgantown. Kathy Mattea, singer, 18 Wheels and a Dozen Roses. That was a really good song. She was from South Charleston. Randy Moss, NFL Minnesota Vikings. What a great receiver. He was from Rand. John Forbes Nash, another amazing mathematician. They made the movie A Beautiful Mind about him. He was from Bluefield. Brad Paisley, oh my God, we all love Brad. What a great singer and songwriter. He was from Glendale, and he went to my high school, John Marshall. Mary Lou Retton, America's sweetheart and Olympic gymnast. She's from Fairmont. Nick Saban, football coach. He was the great coach at Alabama, won several national championships. He was from Monongah. Chris Sarandon, actor, Dog Day Afternoon. He's from Beckley. Brad D. Smith, current president of Marshall University, and Brad was the former CEO of Intuit. He is a great mountaineer. He's from Canova. Cyrus Vance, U.S. Secretary of State for President Jimmy Carter. He was from Clarksburg. Jerry West, great NBA player, L.A. Lakers. He is from Chalyon. Herschel Woody Williams, United States Marine Corps Medal of Honor recipient. He was from Quietdale, and he lived anything but a quiet life. Bill Withers, singer, songwriter. He wrote Ain't No Sunshine and Lean on Me. He was from Slab Fork. And last but not least, Brigadier General Chuck Yeager. He was a pilot, and he was the first person on this earth to break the sound barrier. They made the movie The Right Stuff about the general and those other pilots at that time. He was from Myra. And we have some honorable mentions of some really fine people who lived in West Virginia. And number one on that list is Jennifer Garner, actress, Daredevil. She grew up in Charleston. And we must list Booker T. Washington. What an amazing, brilliant man and educator. And he worked in the coal mines near Malden before he left and went into education and became famous. And I could go on and on. Our state has produced some amazing people, patriots and Americans. We have every reason to be proud of being West Virginians. And I swear to God, there is no place on earth like almost heaven, West Virginia. And as the world traveler and famous chef Anthony Bourdain said, West Virginia moved him like very, very few other places. And this is so true. Sure, we have our own share of problems like every place does, but I firmly believe we can solve those problems if we look at them realistically and with conviction. And it is no secret. West Virginia and our people have been taken advantage of in the past. We have been lied to for decades, and that really upsets me. And some people have come to our state just for their own benefit, not for ours. So in the future, We're going to dive into all of these issues that affect us, our children, and our grandchildren. We are going to take an in-depth look at all of our problems and what I believe is their solutions. We can do this. We are West Virginians, and there is nothing we can't do together. Well, this concludes my very first No BS with Dr. Wood podcast. I hope you found it interesting and enjoyable. I will be posting a new podcast every Monday morning and possibly more later on. And I want to thank all of you for joining in. Please share this with all of your friends. Let's build a huge audience together for West Virginia. If we do, we will be able to get some things done. We will have the political clout to force change. There are things that must be done for our state, and we can't wait any longer. And I also want to hear from you. Please send your comments to my email address at nobsdrw@outlook.com. That is nobsdrw@outlook.com. So next time on No BS with Dr. Wood, we are going to get started into the more important issues that affect West Virginia. And we are starting with the most important, and that is our people. Why is our children's education last in the national rankings? That is not acceptable. Why don't we have more good-paying jobs? Why is West Virginia the only state in the country that lost population between 1950 and the year 2000? And since 2000, we are still declining. We must find a way to do better. And we are going to rock this boat until we get these issues taken care of. And together we can do just that. So until next time, this is No BS with Dr. Wood signing off. God bless all of you. God bless West Virginia. And God bless the United States of America.